Hey, all I can think of is I'm not in Kansas anymore. I left the tropics. I'm in the United States. What always makes me realize I'm in the United States is I have to continually think about my clothing. Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham, and I've lived in 100 plus countries and done this for over 26 years, 114 countries, but I don't really have a home, which you can't really say in California because that scares everybody. I told a guy on the airplane that I'm flying from Tampa to Monterey that I didn't have a home, and he kind of cringed. And I was saying, well, I live wherever I'm at, and I have an extremely unique lifestyle. But today I want to talk about exploration. Okay, exploration is what I do on a regular basis. Okay, noise is something I deal with continually. There's a fire truck going through right now. Okay, I'm at Carmel by the Sea. I'm at the beach, okay, and it's the entrance. I came a little bit off the beach because of too much noise from the waves. I'm definitely not in the tropics right here, but I think it's kind of a very good thing. But one of my big problems when I go to the United States, whether I'm visiting friends or whatever I'm doing, is people want me to go into tourist grade living, and I don't want to be a tourist under any condition. I would stop traveling completely if I had to be a tourist every day of the week. I have zero desire to be a tourist every day of the week. But I'm going to talk about how I explore a new place, and I've done this for 26 years because I live wherever I'm at, and I have to sort of create a situation where I create a community. If you don't have a community, you're really just a tourist, and tourist is a very lonely lifestyle, okay? I'm a traveler. I'm not a tourist. I'm a traveler, but it's kind of an interesting world, but you need to find a base. Okay, so every place you go, you need to get a benchmark, a place where you can consider a base by which to explore the place. So even, we've always, in a way, explorers you kind of have explorers that are just on long journeys, and then you have explorers that are actually trying to find unique things about a place. A tourist is a person that has a checklist of everything they have to go see, and they're going to go do a bunch of selfies. And I am not a tourist, okay? I really have a lot of problems with the tourist, and I can tell you, this is not paradise for me, Carmel by the Sea. It's, for one thing, it's way too cold. Okay, I'm used to being at like 1,500 meters high, or about 5,000 feet. If I'm going to try to be in paradise, it's going to be right around 5,000 feet. I know about 20 places on the planet where I can stop and make a base of these places. But the price of enjoyment is what you're talking about. See, people in a way are either making a decision they love a place or they hate a place, or they're just being a tourist. A tourist is a person that's gandering at things, right? And they really want to have a checklist of things that they can go home and talk about. So tourism doesn't really work unless you return home and you can tell people what you've seen, okay? I don't return back to my home, and most of my friends have no desire to hear about Africa or Togo or Guatemala or my just 6 weeks in Colombia or whatever. But I do want to always do GPT is really taken over as a search engine, and it's a really good way for words. So I did a search of, I said, please compare discovery versus exploring. Exploring. Discovery is when you discover something unique, and it's like you're finished once you discover it. Exploration is kind of a continual process. But I like the process of being an explorer, of being a traveler, much more than I like kind of bragging about which places I've been on the planet, okay? And a lot of people really live and die by their house, their car. Well, here it's probably the dog. This is definitely a dog beach. They have dog t-shirts up here in the thing, and I've already done, I walked all the way through the city, and I've been in the town of Carmel twice, and today is my third time. So I'm trying to explain how I explore a place to make it livable, okay? Because a tourist doesn't really care. The problem with tourists is they're like a one-night stand. They are here and gone, and all it is a make me happy type situation. That is not the life I live. I enter a community to become part of the community, and if you see a lot of the places where I hang out, it's where there is a community. I was really happy yesterday. I went to kind of lunch with this to the guy that I'm staying with, plus another gentleman. And there's a lot of people in this restaurant that knew each other, which was really my fear of this place, is that everybody's just trying to buy a house that, and they're afraid to go talk to anybody because they're too rich. Being rich and famous is not a positive thing, in my opinion. It's probably the worst type of life you could ever have, is to be rich. You basically have to always protect that money, and you have to protect the house. You got to protect you're a maintenance person. That's what it is. But I like the process of exploring. But what's interesting is almost anybody I ever talk to has the question in their mind, do I want to live here? Which is strange, but I don't have that question. I said, my question is, do I want to stay here for 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months? I would say Carmel by the Sea is probably maximum 20 days, okay? It's not an environment, it's too touristy, okay? But it's not a good place for me to live, okay? Because there's, everybody here is, they're tourists, and they're on a mission. They're on a mission. But it is nice to talk in English. I'm tired of talking Spanish for the last 3 or 4 months, right? When I was in Colombia for 6 weeks, I never seen one American. I didn't see one European. I talked Spanish for 6 weeks continuously, which is fine with me because I can kind of think of it. But what's interesting here is the reason why I'm here inside exploring California is I wanted to see what the correlation was between the press and the news sources, the media, the YouTube channels, and reality. I can say that I haven't really saw any homeless people here. Of course, I'm in one of the most exclusive neighborhoods on the planet, right? I highly recommend when you go explore a place that you don't do any research, okay? The research is discovering the life of another person, okay? Research is trying to live somebody else's life, not your own life. I want to live my own life, and I've done this for, in 114 countries, right? So it became very important to me that I know very little about a place when I enter it, because otherwise, I guess you have what they call confirmation bias. You find somebody else's tourist trip, you discover somebody else's life, and you're not living your own life. You want to discover your own life. And that's the journey that we take when we travel. It's when we travel, we get to see who we are. And to discover who we are is, if you are not predetermined to go see tourist things, you find what is attractive to you, okay? And like here, I do know that I like the library, I like the park, and I like one of the coffee shops. And I haven't really found any place where there's what I would call the traveler's huddle yet. Although this restaurant thing, on the other side, it makes me feel very old being here, right? This is not the Surfer Beach Del Mar. When I came to California when I was 21 and bought a surfboard and tried to surf, and it's very cold out there in the surf, and I had to buy a wetsuit, but I didn't have a wetsuit. But I was on Del Mar because it was a beach that the Beach Boys sang about, right? But this is not a lay in the sun beach, okay? I'm pretty sure that this is a tourist visit to kind of hang around with the rich and the famous. It's a spectator of looking what the other side of the world lives like, the other people, the rich and the famous live like. But I was thinking about making a video is that everything but Clint Eastwood, because I think Clint Eastwood was a mayor here. I don't know, but when I first come to a place, I study the weather, okay? Because I want to know the climate changes. So if I was going to if I was going to choose a place, the only thing I really do care about is the weather. And you can do a search on Google, says climate data, Carmel, climate data, Fort Wayne, Indiana, climate data, Lake Athlon, and it'll tell you the highs and lows. And so me and my one friend in Tampa were doing this, and this has just a small range, which is really good for living. But it's not, to me, a beach life. It's a beach walking life. Okay, so I've been here long enough to know that this is kind of a walk by the beach city. But tourists care about the weather. I don't. I could care less about knowing whether it's going to rain tomorrow, whatever, because I have all the time in the world. I'm extremely wealthy in time. I'm not wealthy in money, but I'm extremely wealthy in experience. But most people are always asking this question, do I want to live there? And now this is a fortunate place probably because very few people could afford to live here. I think the average house is at least $1 million. It's too much work here for my clothing, right? Too much, I have to really pay attention to the clothing, and it's a little too cold. And I don't think it really ever gets things, but it's not too hot. Which a lot of people, in one way, people want to know, you can always put on more clothes, but you can't always take off enough clothing to be cool. And I don't like air conditioning at all, so this place may be a very good place. Air conditioning, whether it's a forced air furnace or air conditioning, I think is extremely bad for your health. Okay, of all the things you can do in life is living in air that is conditioned. I always say that you can only live 3 minutes without air, so it's the most highest priority thing. But discovery is what we find. But exploration is to gain new knowledge. So you have to explore. If you're going to go live in a place for 1 month, I highly recommend anybody that is moving to another location, it's that they do like... I don't even want to call it, I call it reconnoitre, a reconnaissance mission. They go there, spend about 3 weeks, because why would you move anywhere where you don't love? And if you're going to get paid $300,000 a year, $200,000 a year, $100,000 a year, the biggest priority, in my opinion, is you should live where you love, okay? But do you love a place? And the United States is always wanting you to lock in. And that's the hardest part about discovering any place, is how to visit a place without locking in. The average hotel in here is right around $300 a day, okay? So it's not one of these casual places where you're going to do it. But I actually don't think this is more of a place where you can say you live, okay? As opposed to actually a high quality of life. Exploration is about the process, okay? But how do I explore a place? I always do it walking. The worst possible way to do it is probably... the car inside the United States is a detriment because the parking situation, especially in these areas, is horrendous. It was not as bad as though, it was really bad in Fort Lauderdale. They wanted like $5 for 15 minutes to park. Here it's actually, they have pretty good parking here. I'm really surprised. But again, it's a lot of looky-sees, right? Wannabe rich is coming here to think. Everybody fantasizes about being rich and famous. I don't know why. It's got to be the worst lifestyle there is. But do not read or study a place you're going to go explore, because all you're doing is living somebody else's life. But walking is the way to do it. And then the goal is to serendipitously find things that are of interest to you, not what somebody else says. Tourist magazines write things to let you find things that you can brag about when you go home. The older we get, the less we are concerned about being able to tell somebody, I just went to, I don't know, the Eiffel Tower. I've been to the Eiffel Tower. It was fun for the 3 hours going up and down and whatever, and meeting all the foreigners that are not from France that are selling in front of the place, right? Champs-Élysées. But serendipity mining. I kind of call exploration, a mining process. It's like you're mining for gold, but you're mining for good experiences. And you can't really control serendipitous experiences in a car or a motorcycle or a bike. Is, to me, the only way to explore a place to really understand it is walking, okay? And that means you have to walk. See, normally I would walk 4 to 6 times a day. That's my normal pattern. It's been kind of rainy here, so I haven't been doing this. And truthfully, I don't think I would enjoy walking 4 to 6 times a day here. Walking on the beach by yourself is fun a couple times, and after that, you want something else to do. But if you're working 24 hours a day, that's a great life, right? I mean, a lot of people that are on vacation are, to take a vacation is the absence of work. I'm not on vacation. But if you're on vacation, yeah, this is a kind of a relaxing place. It's a little bit more back to nature. And I'm really kind of proud of the thing that they've kept all the trees in this community, which is highly unusual. They have all the trees here, and all the houses are like 2 stories, and you don't have any high rises here. So it's, but to explore, you have to be a noticer or an observer. And that means your head's got to be on a swivel. You got to be constantly looking around and sauntering. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't know why, but every time I get with somebody, they want to be a speed walker. And that to me is, I ditch the speed walkers, okay? I ditch the people with the cars. I ditch the people with the bikes. I ditch the people with the sunglasses. I ditch the people with the headsets on, because I'm an explorer. I want to notice and feel the place I'm at. But you gotta get your world quiet enough where you can hear your subconscious mind thinking, okay? And that's the art of exploration, is having the dialogue in your mind while you're walking around, and you're going, I wonder about that, I wonder about this, I'm curious about this, I'm curious about that. And I'm very good at, but the only way you really fall in love with the place, it's very hard to fall in love with things, okay? You can fall in love with the climate a little bit, you know, very good weather. You can fall in love with the feel of a place, but to really fall in love with the place as an explorer, you got to fall in love with the people, the community, okay? So I first am always trying to establish a community. So I'm going to walk through today. It'll be my 3rd walk through the village, and I'll try to find the regulars, okay, the people that like to be in conversations and hang around, okay? Now, obviously, rich people are always afraid of everything, right? They're fear-based, right? They have no freedom at all. But saunter, not speed walk. If you're with a speed walker, give them the jettison. I always like the word in French, je jette, I throw. I like this word. I don't know why I like that word, but a jettison would be the word in English, but je jette, it's like in, got to have your head on a thing, get the earplugs out of your ear. You got to hear the place, feel the place, smell the place, touch the place, okay? And that's what exploration's about. So many people had their head, Generation Z now can barely think without having the smartphone tell them what to do. But you got to get in touch with your subconscious mind and just feel the place. And then when you're walking, always take the time to be curious and go see stuff. But how am I going to do this? First of all, I'm going to for sure get regular places. So the places right now in Carmel by the Sea that I could become a regular for sure is the park, the library, and this one coffee shop. And most of the stores are these high-end, I don't know who goes to these places. They must buy souvenirs there. They're not really fun places to walk around. I mean, you walking around and, I mean, there's to me, a store that you got to take a mortgage out to buy something isn't very much fun. You gotta really slow the world down. So slowing the world down is contrary to what Americans think. They think they got to drive around fast on a motorcycle. They got to drive around a car. I was just telling my friend that I said, I do not like cars. One of the greatest things of me living in for traveling for 26 years is that I haven't had a car, and there's nothing been better in my life than to get rid of a car and all the anchors. See, a car is an anchor, a motorcycle is an anchor, a house is an anchor, a job is an anchor. These are things that make it so you can't actually give all the time you want to a location. But again, do not watch videos on a place you're going to go explore. What's really nice about this place is it feels like my hometown, Orland, Indiana. And people would think that's crazy, but it's kind of, they got four-way stops. And, you know, there's people driving around really slow, looky-sees, looking around. We got these Sunday drivers all over the place here. And on the other side is the beach, is the opposite of Orland, Indiana. The bigger the city, the bigger the problem. Okay, so when you explore a big city, you need to explore one neighborhood. That's about all you can do. So in barrios or in areas where they have boroughs or neighborhoods or well-defined neighborhoods, that's kind of nice. I mean, when you're exploring a big city, it would be kind of fun to be in the Chinese district or the Indian district or the Ethiopian district or whatever. That's one of the benefits of the United States, is you can actually explore other cultures and other restaurants while in the country. Parking is the opposite of exploration. I mean, this is what stops people from exploring, because they're always worried. If you're always worried about your car, if you're always worried about something, when you're walking around exploring, talking to yourself in your mind, having that little verbal thing, ask yourself, what are you worried about? And then you can try to make those things to remove from your head. I don't have anything to do, right? And I'm very proud of myself that for many years I've done anything and everything, and I've lived anywhere I want to. I will say, it may be the best place on the planet to find a rich woman. Not that I don't want a rich woman. I don't want anything to do with being rich in a way. One of the great things about traveling to countries like India or even Africa or different places is you do become accustomed to people looking at you. And that is, you're always going to be a foreigner. I actually was thinking about writing a book one time called My Name is Foreigner, because like in Thailand, I'm Falang. In Africa, I'm Awe or Yabo. Yabo means white guy. In Guatemala, I'm still Gringo. And different countries, they always have a name for the foreigner. But I actually feel sorry for a lot of cultures inside the United States, because they're trapped. Little do you know, but you're trapped by society, by the opinions of others, by your car, by your motorcycle, by your job. These are anchors that I've been, thank the good gods, I don't have. I can do anything I want to do. That is freedom. The freedom is to think anything you want without worrying about what somebody thinks too. But I'm kind of laughing because I started carrying my identification inside the United States. I very seldom carry my passport or my driver's license, but inside the United States, it can be, especially in big cities, you can be in a lot of trouble if you get. I guess the illegal immigrants can do anything they want, but I'm a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, right? And that's kind of the most hated person on the planet anymore. But you're trapped by your house, but you got to walk a place. Car, bikes, and taxis. Look for coffee shops. So in a way, one of the great things about Google Maps is you can now do things like search for coffee shops, and you take a screenshot, then you can identify all the coffee shops. Now, it's $3.50 for a coffee here, so it's two cups of coffee, and I can live in Guatemala in a hotel for a night, right? Or Colombia. Colombia is now becoming my go-to place when I'm in between. See, one of the reasons why I go to Central and South America is so that I can spend time while it's winter. There's only like a 2-month window in Europe where you can go there, and before I make a long jaunt, sometimes I want to be able to think things over. So I have different bases. So the bases I have is, right now will be Colombia, a little bit on Guatemala. I'm probably going to get rid of that one as a base. I would like to be in Huatuco, but it's too expensive. Huatuco, Mexico is a really great place. And then, of course, back in Indiana, and then I would always use Thailand and Togo, West Africa. A lot of this has to do with visas. But never, as an explorer, the reason why I'm trying to get you to talk to your subconscious mind is a lot of people will lie to themselves that they like a place. Okay, you got to sit there and say, I like the place. There's no shame in loving a place or liking a place. Everybody should love where they're at, and they should like the feeling of where they're at. So say to the words to yourself, I feel this. Like here, what I wake up every morning saying is, I feel cold. Okay, it's a very cold place for me. It's very freezing. I mean, literally, the weather is cold. But you know, I'm only here in May, say 18th and 19th right now. But a good traveler says hello to everybody. If you really want to become part of the community, you have to get used to, you're exploring the people too. You're not just exploring the things to do, discovering the stuff. You're trying to explore the things. I've made a vow not to really talk to people with dogs, so I'm kind of shit out of luck here, right? Especially with glasses, dark clothing, black clothing, glasses, earphones in their head, and a dog. Not the most inviting body language. But the art of casual small talk, that is exploration. So saying hello is how you do it. I actually wrote a book about this, right? How to meet strangers and turn them into friends. One of the big problems here is because the cost of taxis and Ubers and everything's so expensive, I'm almost only walking. Okay, for me to go back to where I'm at right now would cost $10. And I like to walk, but I do like to walk anywhere and everywhere. And then see, most places where I'm at on the planet, I can walk to anywhere I want to and take a taxi back for like $1 or $2. That's the reason why people, you know, they don't want to admit it, but they're not going to go walking too far from their car because everybody's afraid that it's just difficult to walk, right? Okay, that's Andy Lee Graham. I've traveled nonstop I've lived in 114 countries, and I've lived as a traveler for 26 years. I don't have a home, which scares the shit out of California people, which is fun. But you don't want to fit in anywhere you go. You don't want to try to fit in. As an explorer, you want to accept who you are. A lot of people, like when they go to a Muslim country, they will they do all these alterations. This is not a good way to be. Once you start changing who you are, don't pretend to be somebody you're not. Okay, that is a way to be angry with yourself. Okay, the people that really cannot travel are the ones that are always trying to be. They're always trying to. I call it platitude talking. They always say the nice things about a place and not really what they're thinking. On the other side is, you do have to fit in and sometimes just keep your mouth closed, right? But platitude talking is defining a place like, this must be a great place because everybody says it's a great place. That's the reason why you don't want to get trapped up in the society. You want to be an individual that can think on your own. Okay, so if you remember anything, find your coffee shops. Find your haunts. So here in Carmel by the Sea, I got the library, I got this one coffee shop, and the park. These are good places to continually go to where I might run into people. I think the beach is just full of tourists. I don't think there's anybody down there that's very much of a regular. But there's always these places anywhere you go where you can become part of the community. Do not pretend to be something you're not. That's the worst way to live because that's a lie. Pretending to be something or trying to fit in is a lie you make to yourself. Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham. I'm here and you're not. Why not? Carmel by the Sea.